Hello and welcome to episode 299 of the 77 Club. Harry, start with the socials.
The Wolves 77 Club on Facebook and Instagram, at 77 Club Podcast on x.com. We're also on Spotify and YouTube. Please subscribe.
Dan Bayliss is here.
Hello.
Well, Harry, where do we start with this one? Let's get my notes up. Flying high under Vítor Pereira. We were quite confident, or a little bit bullish, I suppose, going into this one. We were having a beer before the game. And talking to a couple of Tottenham fans, for me anyway, and they were just not looking forward to it at all. A drab 2-2 draw against Eintracht Frankfurt in the Europa League earlier on in the week. We were expecting some changes, and those changes did come for Ange Postecoglou's side. In terms of an entertaining game, it was probably the most entertaining of this season.
Yeah, and I think when we did the preview last week, we spoke about them prioritising Europe. They did make changes. Obviously, Son didn't even make the squad. They rested him. And they looked vulnerable from the word go, didn't they, Spurs? But in saying that, I thought we were really good. You know, we went for it. We were up for it. There was no on-the-beach mentality, as we spoke about. And it was a perfect start, wasn't it? With Aït-Nouri scoring, and we spoke about Bayliss' bets last week, and we said he's probably due a crazy score this game because of all the things we discussed about them not probably being that up for it. And yeah, no, I actually thought the atmosphere was really good as well, actually, on the day. It was a good atmosphere. There was a lot of things going on with the Cunha stuff, and obviously starting the same team again. A lot of substitutions, Spurs being awful. Yeah, really good day. And what I really liked about it as well is when Spurs did score, we just went and scored again straight away. Like, you know, there was no nerves because we just capitalised straight away. And brilliant. So many good performances. I mean, it's a pick-em, innit? Man of the match. There's so many contenders. And I really enjoyed the day. And even though it's a Sunday at 2:00, which usually I'm not really a fan of, like I say, really enjoyed it.
Dan, obviously since Vítor Pereira's come in, there was a fractured fan base and a sort of divided everybody. When Gary O'Neill left after that Ipswich game, and he really has turned things around. I mean, the table since he's come in is unbelievable, really. What do you think about the atmosphere? I know you were obviously at Ipswich last week, and everybody just seems a lot more positive. And as Harry said then, sometimes we just didn't get the rub of the green when Gary O'Neill was in charge. And I think Aït-Nouri's goal is probably something that encapsulates that you make your own luck. And he didn't really celebrate the goal, did he? Which was quite strange. But I mean, it wasn't exactly a steam rat into the top corner. It was sort of thankfully on target and take the goal. But what a way to start a football match.
Doesn't matter how they go in.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, there's a serious sort of positivity about it, isn't there? You want to watch Wolves again, which I think we've spoken about in the past, is that don't really want to watch it, you know. It's not entertaining. We don't create chances. We aren't going to score goals. How your luck can change when you get rid of a PE teacher and bring in a manager. That's pretty much it, isn't it? So
it's a really, really good point, actually, because I felt exactly the same. And I sort of haven't mentioned it really on the podcast previously, but probably for the last season and a half, it's been quite difficult to get up for games. I'm sure, Harry, you feel in that way of thinking as well. I mean, you do go more often than me. But even before the game, I was sort of floating the idea and saying to you, oh, you know, renewal's going to be coming up soon. What are you thinking of doing? What are you going to do? And you were like, well, I'm not really sure. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I was sort of like, no, definitely not going to happen. And now I'm sort of slowly edging back to it. And actually, I know I don't want to skip over the whole game here, but at the end, when Vítor was doing his fist pumps to the south bank and everybody in the north bank was stood there watching it happen, it felt like the Nuno days again, and it felt like the positivity back, and it wasn't so much of a chore as watching Wolves. You know, there were still the defensive frailties, and obviously we're going to talk about the game itself, but the positivity has made such a difference that you actually feel up for the game. And I think we were checking our direct debits, making sure they're going to go through at the end of the game. So it was great, and the positivity just makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and Wolves put out a post, a really good picture, and they just put together, and that's what it felt like, didn't it, on the day? Even with all the Cunha controversy going into it, with what he'd been up to on social media, it was fine. Like, he come on, there was a few jeers, weren't there, when he come on, but he took his goal well, and everyone was loving life again. He was a hero again, wasn't he, for those 5 minutes? But yeah, and I honestly, like I said to you, like you just mentioned, really doubting whether I was going to renew, to be honest, just because I don't know. I just didn't really feel like it. I was literally 90% sure we weren't going to renew last season, but something always keeps you there, doesn't it? Something always makes you keep going, even when you really don't want to, even when the Jeff Shee and that are doing your head in and false promises and all this. But yeah, with the way we're ending this season and with a manager that is just so relatable to the fans and gets it, and he's going out to the pubs, to the Weatherspoons after the games all the time, and he's got great energy. Like, he always talks about energy, and his press conferences are brilliant, and he's dealing with players well. I think he's dealt with the Cunha situation really well. He's dealt with so many hard situations well since he's come in, and like the title says, he's made Gary O'Neill look silly, because he was saying that Gary O'Neill was saying he got the maximum out of the team, and I just can't believe we're in a position where we can potentially finish 13th now after being 5 points behind Leicester when Vítor took over. So he's done a job which I think, he should be doing with the squad we've got, but he's actually done better, way better than expected, to be honest, especially with how low our confidence was. But he's just gone back to basics, give the players loads of confidence, few good signings in. I mean, Manetzi again, causing absolute mayhem, closing them down, causing them to make so many mistakes, especially the second goal where he parried it onto his own player, and that was Manetzi flicking the header in, running to the box. And yeah, everyone was playing well again. I mean, Semedo messed up a bit for the first goal. I don't know what he was doing on that one. But apart from that, really, we were brilliant. Everyone had a good game. And yeah, just togetherness, good atmosphere, everyone happy. And it's been a while since I've walked out the ground feeling so satisfied. And like you say, Sam, yeah, maybe some moments under O'Neill when we had that little good run when he first come in between like November and late January time. It just felt like, yeah, Nuno days is probably the best way to compare it, which is mad because we're all going into next season now thinking we're going to be doing a Forest.
It's the hope that kills you, obviously.
Yeah.
Bayliss, 16 games, 26 points, 4 wins in a row for the first time in the Premier League for Wolves. And I think you have to go back to something like 1972 for the last time Wolves did it in the top flight. Obviously losing to Spurs actually in the UEFA Cup final that year. Such a turnaround, but in terms of Vítor's way of managing, his style, as Harry's mentioned there, I think he's dealt with the media extremely well. We had obviously the Cunha saga last week and the fallout from that. But how well do you think he handled that in the press conference when he was asked, is he going to go straight back in? And he said, no, I'm not changing the winning team.
No, I think from a managerial perspective, it's a little bit 50% a popularity contest and a bit of sort of media talk. And I'm sure what he does behind closed doors with his team is completely different to what he'll say publicly and what we'll hear, but he's done a really good job of it. He's endeared the fans to him, and that's one of the most important things, I think. That's what makes the fans get in with the players and G them up and sing songs and want them to, really get behind them. And I think that's what the feeling is around Wolves at the moment. He has had a nice run of fixtures. That's the only caveat I've got to it. I think there are 4 games on the spin to win, having now watched those games. It was a nice 4, but still, if we hadn't picked up the points in that scenario, we'd have been right in the shit because Ipswich beating us would have put the pressure on. And, I think generally what we've seen from him isn't just his sort of tactical and team setup and stuff. It's that he's managing a group of people that want to play for the club again. And there's a sense of togetherness. And the Cunha situation is unique, where we have got a standout star player, and he seems to have managed it well because Cunha, he went and sort of bowed to the South Bank when he scored his goal. And yeah, I think common sense approach, you'd hope that Vítor sat down with him and went, look, mate, there's 5 or 6 games left. Just keep your head on, keep your thumbs off your phone. Let's just get there, and then we'll see what happens in the summer. And maybe that's the right approach to take for now. The guy's such a talent that I think any manager wants to have him in his team.
Just to add to that, we did have to change our Twitter password after Dan had 12 pints Fulham away. So he says, keep your thumbs off your phone. Easier said than Bailey sometimes. Harry, let's... well, Jack isn't here as the chairman of the Strand Loss and Appreciation Society. It does seem that every... touch he has turns to goal at the moment. 5 in 4 games for him, and was unlucky / just couldn't quite get to a very, very awkward position lying on the floor. I mean, the whole of the stadium, especially us in the North Bank, thought he'd scored soon after Aït-Nouri's opener, but it wasn't to be. But we're talking about turnarounds. His has been just a really, really steady incline, I suppose. And Vítor seems to be getting the best out of him. He's starting to hold the ball up well. So really, 30 million euros at the end of the season is looking like a bit of a snip. 12 goals now. Not far behind Raul's record. I think it's 17 Premier League goals. So the most by Wolves player in a Premier League season. And with the fixtures left, do you think he's got a chance of breaking that?
Well, he might get close, but he'll break Raul's first season tally, you'd imagine. I think Raul got 13 in his first Prem season. And he took penalties that year. So take that for what you will. On Strand Larsen, I'm glad he did get his goal, because if he didn't and he hadn't scored, 4 in 3, whatever it was, but going into it, everyone would be going mad about that miss at 1-0. Because it was a tap-in, when he put it wide, but we let him off. And he didn't particularly have an amazing game, but he got his goal. He was in the right place at the right time. Amazing work from Aït-Nouri to set him up for me. And and as Vítor Pereira keeps saying, it's because of Menezes. Menezes is no coincidence that Menezes been in this league. Yeah, he really helps out, give Strand Larsen the space, because he's doing all the running, and Larsen picks up the loose ball.
Can't finish the coffee, but that's fine.
No, but you know what? He's doing something right, because it's no coincidence that since he's been in the team, look at the run we've been on. Five games unbeaten now, 4 wins in a row, and like Sam said, I think in the 70s the last time we did that in the top division. So I like Menezes, but I do get people saying he can't hit the side of a barn door, but he's got if I see a player running non-stop for 95 minutes, he's still got amazing energy. I mean, if we were blessed with the ability to play for Wolves, I'd run until my kneecaps fell off. So when you see a player doing it, you're like, fair play, man. Like India's just a player
on 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's like Dave Edwards, like Andy Keogh back in the day. Not the greatest player in the world, but he'd run until his shins was like dropping off.
Worked hard.
Steve
Nunt worked hard.
Brilliant examples. But yeah, buzzing for Larsen. I was buzzing for Aït-Nouri as well. I've mentioned him a few times. A goal and assist, like you said, a bit weird that he didn't celebrate. I don't know what that was all about. I don't know if that's just the person he is. But he's like, is it 10 assists now? He's got the most ever for a defender for Wolves, and I think he's up there in goal contributions in the whole league. So, and I've seen
he's a class act that no one talks about, really.
Yeah, well, he's always had a good reputation, hasn't he? He's always been highly rated, and other clubs have wanted him. But this season, he kind of dipped a bit in form, but his numbers don't lie. And I saw Bellegarde put on his Instagram, he's the best left back in the league. That's what Bellegarde put on his Instagram. So yeah, it'd be hard to keep hold of Aït-Nouri. I think this time he will go. But fair play to him. He was my man of the match along with João Gomes on the day, actually. He was brilliant.
Max says, is Harry outgrowing the 77 club? That's my worry. He's flying. How many followers? Be off to do his own, doing Acuna, off to talking Wolves. Harry, is there any truth in these rumours?
What? Off to talking Wolves? No, don't worry. No. I don't say I'm outgrowing the podcast, no.
You don't want to get to the point where, like, I feel so sorry for poor Dave Azzopardi, because he's such a lovely bloke. He was getting some pelters on X in the week.
A tough weekend, but I did watch his video, actually, because I think obviously it was got to him a little bit, as he said. But I thought he handled it really well and was just reporting what as he saw it, which is absolutely the right thing to do.
Totally. I just don't think I could take that stick on social media.
No, 100%.
He had a lot more support, though, didn't he? To be fair to him.
Yeah, I don't think there were many people serious about it. That were.
The only shit he was getting that I saw was on Twitter, and Twitter is a fucking cesspit, and it's so negative. So you're going to get negative. Even if he give 100 grand to charity and announce it on Talking Wolves, he'd get shit for it. It's just that type of platform. So yeah, he was completely in the right. Cunha had lost his head. Cunha's only got Cunha to blame with his Instagram antics, in my opinion. But as I say, as soon as he bangs a goal in on the Sunday, I'm like, oh, Cunha, I love you again.
I mean, it had to be him. There was sort of Balotelli vibes, wasn't there, Dan, with the "Why Always Me"? But again, I think Harry and I couldn't really see that end of the pitch, and Harry sort of turned to me and said, "Did he just cup his ears?" But he obviously didn't, and he was praying for forgiveness. Not like Harry to get some clicks in now, I'm sure. But how do you think he handled it? I mean, he took his goal so well. I mean, it's sort of the story of Spurs' day, really, giving it away in the middle of the park and being punished straight away.
Yeah, good finish, isn't it? Proper strikers finish that. But We haven't really touched on this. Spurs are bad, aren't they?
Mm.
Yeah, like I haven't seen a Spurs. I've seen us beat Spurs a few times, but they've always been a very good outfit that we've done well against or played unbelievably. I think one that always sticks out is the away at Wembley, and then Raul's won to win it 3-2 at their new stadium.
Yeah.
They're some of the top Wolves performances I've seen. Whereas Wolves played well on the weekend, but I don't think we were played out of our skin. We were the better team, and we beat a poor side, which is unusual against a big large club like Tottenham.
It's a very interesting table now, isn't it, Harry, actually? Because we were saying we're going to get a nosebleed if we get up to 17th because we haven't been higher than that this season. And we're in the dizzy heights of 16th.
Yeah. And 2 points behind them as well. And then we've seen West Ham loss. And as I said, you look up the table now. I know we're going to get on to Man U. We can go joint on points with Man U if we beat on the weekend. And I think I've mentioned Gomez once, but Andre and Gomez again just absolutely bossed them in midfield. And how many times have we said that the last month or so? They're just so good together. It all works, doesn't it? The interesting thing as well we haven't mentioned is when Bellegarde went up injured, he brought on Sarabia instead of Cunha. So I think Sarabia deserved that because of his performance at Ipswich. And obviously Cunha eventually come on, and Doherty went off at half-time injured as well, didn't he? But I thought Santi Bueno did really well when he come on, slotted in nicely, didn't make any mistakes. So that will be interesting to see who's fit for the weekend, but I'm sure we'll find all that out in Vitor's press conference.
The interesting thing for me is that... sorry, Sam, carry on.
No, go on. I thought you said something interesting.
Well, it sort of sticks in it, doesn't it? We're talking about how well the team's playing and stuff, and how we look set up now, especially with Andre and Gomez in the middle. Like, we are literally a couple of good signings and not losing more than Cunha from one hell of a side, in my opinion.
Totally agree.
I don't know whether many Wolves fans are feeling that or not, because we've played the weaker sides and that's where we've got our points. But just the way we're playing football, I think we look really solid at the moment. We just need those key personnel, which means by September the 1st, we'll either be absolutely ecstatic and think, yeah, we're in this season, top half, or the ownership group don't give a toss and we're scratching our heads again.
I just hope, because I've seen the rumblings that they're going to offer Vítor an extension to his contract, but I've got a bit of deja vu because when O'Neill was doing well, they offered him that 4-year deal, whatever he signed, and then it all fell apart after that, didn't it? So, but just to go back to what Bailey said earlier, actually, about the fixtures we've had and won, and ones we probably should win in the last 4 or 5. Yeah, but when O'Neill had that sort of run, we crumbled, didn't we? We fell apart. So that's a big difference. And obviously, I think we've scored a similar amount of goals. I think we got 24 in 16 under O'Neill, 23 under Vítor, but we've conceded half the amount of goals. That's the big difference. I know Agbadu has been a huge reason why, because he was amazing again against Spurs. He's just an absolute rock. But still, the defending under O'Neill, it was clueless at times. And he had Sarr passing it around his feet, didn't he? And that's completely stopped now, if you've noticed. Sarr just boots it now. So, yeah, major improvement. And mainly, I agree, we just look more solid defensively, because we had it going forward anyway. We were scoring plenty of goals.
You obviously sent that screenshot of the BBC Sport, had covered it this morning and doing the O'Neill and Pereira comparison. So O'Neill had 2 wins. Pereira's now got 8. 3 draws for Gary O'Neill, 2 for Pereira. 11 losses for Gary O'Neill, 6 for Pereira. But these are the big ones. Goals for 24 with Gary O'Neill and 23 for Vítor. But it's the goals against, as you said, Harry, it's pretty much half. So from going from 40 goals conceded under Gary O'Neill to 21, what would you say is the biggest tactical shift there? I mean, we know that we've spoken about it quite extensively over the last couple of weeks. It's getting the most out of those players.
Trying to play football now.
Well, yeah, exactly. Trying to, these players are doing probably what you would expect them to do. But what would you say, Harry, is the biggest tactical shift that we've seen that's meant that we're getting points, not only points on the board, but also we're conceding literally half as many goals?
He's just gone simple. He hasn't tried to overcomplicate anything. O'Neill was trying to make us play like bloody Barcelona or Man City. He kept banging on about Aït-Nouri being in a hybrid position going into midfield. Load of bollocks. We're in a relegation battle and he's just trying to be too clever. Vítor Pereira just went to basics, set us up how he wants to, made them solid. Everyone knows their jobs. Simple as that. Obviously, and I've just mentioned Agbadou. That is a huge reason why getting Agbadou in January really well. At first, he looked a bit shaky, didn't he? But then once it clicked, and obviously having Toti Gomez alongside him fit, the revelation of Doherty going to right centre back. Because if you remember, O'Neill was playing Semedo right centre back and Doherty right wing back, and all Vítor Pereira did was look at it, switch them round, and Doherty's been really good at right centre back, and obviously the pairing of Andre and Gomez. Gary O'Neill kept dropping Andre, and he'd play like Tommy Doyle and Gomez or Lamina. So yeah, realising that Andre is probably the best defensive midfielder we've got by a mile, that's a big reason as well, because he protects the back five or back three, whichever way you want to look at it. And yeah, just went back to basics, give them confidence. Didn't say that they're crap and I've tried to get the maximum out of them and they're not good enough. Didn't throw them all under the bus after every loss. So many differences, tactical, man management wise, what he said in the media, the connection with the fans, pretty much everything. He's done better than O'Neill, I would say.
And he hasn't got an iPad, and not married to it in the dugout makes a big difference. What would you say, Bayliss, is the biggest tactical shift or the most important one?
It's just the entire setup of it. You know, he's got two centre midfielders that are fantastic centre midfielders, and they play in the centre of midfield. He's found a way to turn goal scorers into goal scorers rather than relying on Cunha to get some goals. I don't know, the attitude of the team. Wolves now seem to control the middle of the pitch and then go forward at pace. Whereas under O'Neill, we just sort of had fits and starts in games where we were really good or absolutely terrible. Especially those last sort of 8 to 10 games of O'Neill's. Just didn't have a clue, did we?
There was no identity or plan under O'Neill. I couldn't tell you what we were trying to achieve half the time. I didn't know what we were set up to do. And then with Vítor Pereira, you can pretty much name the team. You can pretty much see what we're trying to do, the high press from Menezes and things like that. And trying to last run on Bellegarde's energy. So completely different. O'Neill was just trying to be like a football manager teenager, getting us tippy-tapping it around like on FIFA or something. And you just can't do it when you're down there. It just don't work.
Maybe that's what he was playing on his iPad. Maybe he was just playing. He was working on the screen. I don't know why it's working down here. Lots of parallels between Gary O'Neill and Vítor Pereira there, Bayliss. The Gary O'Neill Appreciation Society, which is apparently TalkSport and Sky Sports News, are saying that Pereira is doing so well because he spent £40 million in January. And if Gary O'Neill had said the same, then Wolves would be in this position still. What do you think to that?
Is that Simon Jordan, is it, on TalkSport?
Yes, correct, yeah.
Yeah, fuck off.
Eloquently put. Harry, have you got anything to add on to that?
It's just, I don't know what Gary O'Neill's done. I don't know if he's got something on TalkSport and Sky and that, but like Alex Crook replied to a Wolves fan, didn't he, on X, saying, yeah, don't worry, when the players decide they don't want to play for Vitória, fail. Basically, he couldn't bring himself to say how well Vitória done, how bad Gary O'Neill done.
It's literally like saying, it's literally, if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bike.
Yeah.
Like, that is not journalism.
Yeah, it's ridiculous the way they love O'Neill so much. He had a good little run under us, don't get me wrong. We had a good little stint with him, but once shit hit the fan and we got a few injuries, the end of the season was horrendous. And the start to this season, wow. When you've got Matheus Cunha, Andre, Gomez, we shouldn't be where we are. We just shouldn't. He should have got a tune out of the squad. We should have been mid-table, but we wasn't. And I'm glad that Ipswich goal went in last minute. Now I think that was a blessing in disguise at Molineux, because if we'd have gone into Leicester with O'Neill still in charge, we'd have lost. I think. And we went there to win 3-0, and we'd have got to January probably about 6 or 7 points off safety. Would we have got the same players in? Probably, because they were probably already planned targets. And I don't know where we'd be. You'd think we'd probably get out of it because of how strong our team is, but with the way he had the confidence so low and everyone was just bored of watching it and was depressed, I don't know if we would have got out of it, but obviously we'll never know. And I'm glad we never had to see what would have happened with him, to be honest.
Because it's not just players, is it, Bayliss? It's the whole fan base being toxic and turning against each other in some cases, and it's that whole thing that bleeds through the whole ecosystem that is Wolverhampton Wanderers.
I think, yeah, the toxicity did also come from the owners as well. I think jacking up the prices at the start of the season had people's backs up anyway, and then after a few bad results, it was very easy to get on top of O'Neill and criticise him. That also said, on balance, his football was shite. So you've got to that's the answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
that's very true. Let's move on to Manchester United away, Harry. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if we beat them 4-0, then we will move above them in the table.
Wow,
heard it here first. So.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's incredible that we can just go level on points. I mean, imagine if you'd have said that in late December or mid-December. If you'd have said, by now in April, you're going to go to Old Trafford. If you beat them, you're going to be level on points from them, and what are we, 12, 15 points ahead of relegation? You'd have laughed. And the fact that we can do it, and do you know what? I know they play in Europe Thursday, so it'd be interesting to see how they get on there. I'm going into it. I genuinely think we're favourites. I do. Because they are shite, aren't they, Man U? Let's be honest. They got battered against Newcastle last time out. And if we just go at them with the confidence we're playing with, and if Bellegarde's injured and Cunha starts, maybe, or it might be Sarabia, I don't know. Probably would be Cunha. I think we could absolutely... I don't want to be too confident because sometimes it bites me in the ass, but I think we could batter them, I do. I genuinely think we could batter them because we're scoring goals. We're full of confidence. Our fans will be buzzing in the corner, being loud. They're probably thinking we could do without this. Fucking Wolves coming to town full of confidence at home, at toxic Old Trafford. They just want the season to be over. Yeah, I really fancy it. I really do. I fancy us to get a result.
Bayliss, there's a comment from Neil who says She and Hobbs have to go. I'd agree with Jeff She, but I think on balance, after what we said today on the podcast about the positive contribution that Agbadu has made, the positive contribution that Manetzi has made to Strand Larsen's game alone, would you agree that they both have to go, or just the one or the two?
I don't think it makes any difference. This is my point of view on it, and I've heard this and I've seen it over the last few weeks. That the comments have been coming up about Hobbs and She. It makes no difference whatsoever, right? There is a global company sat in China who hold the purse strings, and they either go yes or no. And whoever the front man is that's, writes a section in the program or occasionally writes in the Express and Star or, does an interview, it makes no difference whatsoever. Folks are either going to spend money or they're not going to spend money.
But you can spend money. I mean, actually, Manchester United, Bayliss, are a prime example of spending a shit ton of money and on absolute garbage. And they have done that time and time again.
Far off that as well.
Nowhere near £1 billion over the last couple of seasons. Though you need to spend it on the. If they go, here's 15 million quid, you could go and spend it on someone half decent like an Andre, or you could get an absolute duck egg and spend 80 million on Anthony.
Yeah, totally. But I think Man United spending is very different to Wolves spending. Wolves are buying to invest and make a return off the players we buy in, and we'll have a few flops, but we will have some fantastic ones. Whereas Man United are spending big money to try and challenge for the league and challenge for Europe and win cups and that sort of thing. But they might not be achieving it, but it's gone very badly, obviously, but that's what they've been trying to do with their money. So it is slightly different, but I get exactly what you're saying. The problem is that She's a front man. It makes no difference what Jeff She says. None whatsoever. The only thing that could change is that if they were to be removed and Pereira is allowed to just go and get the players he wants, I think when a manager picks the side and a manager does the transfers, that's when you get a better team. That'd be my...
certainly when they have a... Klopp, I think, was probably a prime example at Liverpool of getting those players in the mould that he wanted. What do you reckon, Harry?
She... obviously, he's shut up, hasn't he? Since he did that interview saying we need positive atoms before the Ipswich lot, and Gary O'Neill went backing him to the hills, come home. Then he sacked him, and I think he just went straight to Uncle George and said, "Help me," and that's where we got Vítor Pereira. And I think going forward in the transfer market, we'll see a lot more of the George Mendes signings. And look, our recruitment, we've had a lot of shit ones, but we've had some really good ones. I mean, Agbadu, what a find he's been, and Manetzi, you could say as well. So we do get the odd signings really well, don't we? But then we have some absolute stinkers where we spend loads of money, like on Fabio Silva, for example, that just don't work out. But yeah, Jeff She, he just needs to shut up. He needs to keep his promise and not put the prices up. And Hobbs, I don't know with Hobbs, he's done some good stuff. It was refreshing when we were first doing well with it and he was speaking a lot. But maybe he needs to stay quiet as well, because they can't really win when they do interviews, can they? Because everyone just goes nuts, especially if it's not going very well. So they've just got to back Vítor. If they back Vítor Pereira, invest the Cunha money and invest whatever money we get in, there's not much we can say about them, is there? And don't be silly with the season ticket prices. We can't really moan, and if we push up the league with a manager we can all relate to, bring the good times back, they can just stay away and be quiet, and it will all be good. That's all we want. Like, stay in the background. We don't want to hear from you. We don't want problems. But yeah, what was it? We was on United, weren't we? But yeah,
they should be seen and not heard. Bayless, I suppose the anecdote is never change a winning team. Would you make any changes to this team? Obviously, we may be forcing some with Bellegarde and Doherty going off.
Yeah, always makes it tough. Cunha hasn't still earned the right to start, has he? So I know that you're talking further down the pitch, but maybe he has to out of necessity.
We could.
I don't know what we do at the back.
I suppose is going to be that bit for him, isn't it?
I don't know what we do with Doherty, but
right wing back, I suppose.
Yeah.
But then we just put Semedo. Harry.
Starting team. So because obviously we're recording this Tuesday, we won't know about Doherty's injury, Bellegarde's injury. So obviously they got pulled off quite early. I don't know if there's precaution, but if everyone's fit, it's the same team. You can't change it. Yeah. Same starting 11. But if Bellegarde's injured, for me, as much as I've been slagging him off lately on my own channel and saying I don't want to see him in a Wolves shirt again, I probably would start Cunha. Maybe that's harsh on Sarabia, but I just think Cunha would be so good for this game. It'd kill him, I think. Doherty, if he's injured, I would just put Santi Bueno in. I thought he was really good second half against Spurs. Apart from that, it's as you were. There's a bit of a debate on the bench because I know he left Tommy Doyle, Guedes and Sam Johnston out of the squad. He put Mateus Mane on the bench, which on Tommy Doyle, I'm thinking, wow, what have I done wrong here? Because even Hwang got on the bench. So he
Doyle's time's done.
Yeah, I think Tommy Doyle's time's done as well, yeah.
He hasn't proved himself, has he, really?
Well, it's hard when you've got Gomez and Andre in front of you, isn't it? And you got I think he prefers Boubacar Traore as well. I've actually recorded a video about this. It's coming out tomorrow on my channel.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, well, I've just had about 2 notifications for one. I mean, the first one was all is forgiven. All is forgiven for Mateus Cunha with the picture of Vítor Pereira with the speech bubble saying Cunha needs the energy of love, and then I've just had another one through on my phone, which is what on earth has happened to Hwang Hee-chan?
Yeah.
But Bates, what has happened to Hwang Hee-chan? I don't know if you've watched Harry's video and you know the answer, but I won't spoil it for you.
I haven't watched Harry's video, so I don't know the answer.
How dare you?
I know he's got. Sorry, he's gone back to that Hwang from the season 4 last, where he just couldn't do anything right.
He couldn't hit a barn door.
Yeah.
I mean, Harry, what's the answer to the question? I mean, what has happened to him?
Well, no, yeah. Someone put a comment on my video after the Spurs game, and remember when he slipped, and he should have just tapped it in for a goal on Sunday. I mean, last season he got 13 goals in all competitions. This season he's got 2. He has had an injury again, but he hasn't played as many games as last season. So obviously he had a bad injury last season as well, didn't he, towards the end, where we missed him quite a lot. I don't know, he just don't look as confident. He don't look as interesting to me. I don't know, but Vítor must like him in training because, as I've just mentioned, he puts him on the bench a lot. He's putting him on the bench over Guedes, so that means something. But, I mean, when he was lacking in performance-wise in years gone by, well, maybe more last season, he would still pop up with a goal, wouldn't he? He'd still bag a few goals, really important ones. But now he's not playing well, but he's also not... He's got 2 goals, hasn't he? He got on quick succession, Spurs and Man United around Christmas time. He had an absolute stinker, I remember, away at Bristol in the FA Cup. Missed 2 absolute sitters. And we got offered 20 million for him last summer. And you look at that now and you think, we probably should have took that. So I think maybe this will be his last season, but he's still on... I think he's still got a contract till 2028. He's on big money. He is on big wages, but they probably give him that because of his commercial value. I don't know if you've seen after the game Sunday. There's about thousands, about 1,000 South Koreans waiting for him again. They were probably there for Son as well, so they're probably disappointed. But yeah, his form is just dipped massively. Like when he comes on, he don't particularly change it, does he? He don't do anything really when he comes on up front. So probably be the last time we see him, which is a shame because I do like him. And when he hits a bit of form, a bit of a purple patch, he's a good finisher. He's good, isn't he? In front of goal, puts the ball away. So it's a shame.
Yeah, I think last season, I think he had the Asia Cup as well in the middle, so that put a bit of a stop block in sort of the run of the games that he was having. But I think they did return early, didn't they? They had a bit of a stinker actually in that tournament. Let's do a score prediction, Bayliss.
2-1 Wolves.
Harry.
I think we'll beat them 3-0.
Love it. I love it.
Love to see that.
I'm going to go 4-0, just so we move above them in the table. That would be lovely. Bayliss potentially has some betting odds.
Yeah, obviously we're very early in the week, so there aren't a lot of markets on offer. But what I have seen, United are the other side of even money, which, fair enough, they're at home, but they haven't been the best. Wolves, I've seen prices floating around sort of 11-4, so there's plenty of value in it. And if you pick out a goal scorer with it, or I think over 2.5 goals seems to be a good bet. If you can double up Wolves with over 2.5 goals, there's plenty in there for you. But unfortunately, we're a bit early for me to have any silly scorecasts knocking about. Also, Neil White, yes, Channy.
I'm gonna go
for a Red Bull.
Yes, he did, yeah. Andy says 2-0. Neil says 4-0. Stephen's going for a draw. Wolfsford going for 5-1. Late rally, 3 goals in the last 10 minutes. Max is going for 2-2, as it's at Old Trafford. Of course it is. Let's move on to some potential transfer news, Harry. Well, the main one that we're talking about this week, every week, and forever it seems, is Cunha. There was an article in one of the newspapers this week saying that somebody was going to be paying 65 million. I think it might be Manchester United. So it could be a little audition for him, actually. Do you think that there will be a little bit of a bidding war for him? He seems like a popular player. I know a lot of the Spurs fans after the game, especially the influencers on TikTok and YouTube, etc., were saying that they would take him in a heartbeat. Obviously got his goal against them at the weekend. Is this getting towards the sort of figure that you maybe think he's worth? I think you're sort of saying 80 million last week, and I'm sure he's done nothing, obviously, apart from score, that's going to change your mind on that evaluation.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what I think he's worth. Whoever pays for him, you're going to pay 62.5 million, aren't they? That's his release clause. He'll get about 4 offers, and he'll pick whoever he wants. Man United, Spurs have come out of nowhere, haven't they? Like Spurs all of a sudden say they want him. I don't know if that's because he scored against them. Newcastle keep being heavily linked, don't they? And I think if Man United win the Europa League, I think he'll go there, unfortunately, because I'd hate that, because for obvious reasons, just don't like Man United. Unless a club tries to be clever and offer add-ons and that, and then the club convince Cunha to go to that club. But it's up to Cunha, isn't it? As soon as they trigger that contract clause, it's out of our hands. It's up to him and his agent who he picks then. So, yeah, I don't know. I keep thinking Arsenal, but then I think, would they be desperate for him? Probably not. Man United always spend money on players, don't they? But apparently they're skint. So would he go to Spurs? Really? Are they, the way they're playing, it's like a step sideways, isn't it? Unless they win the Europa League, which I can't see. But yeah, maybe Newcastle. I don't know. But yeah, the rumours are strong. We know he's going. He just needs to shut up, don't he, and score a few more goals for us, then have his goodbye. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see who he picks.
I think Newcastle is actually quite a good shout because they don't have the sort of global toxic fan base that all of those other sort of legacy top 4, top 5 sides seem to have. I mean, if he's having arguments with Talking Wolves on any given week, what's he going to be like when all of the fans from around the world are absolutely caning him for a poor performance against whoever, Sheffield United or something? It's a completely different ball game, isn't it? And I think Neto's experienced some of that this season.
Newcastle fans will not have Cunha walking around like he was for us in January. They'd go fucking nuts. Remember when he was just walking about when the contract stuff was up in the air? So he's got to be careful with things like that. Like, he can't give it the big bollocks there. And yeah, with Man United and that, it's just a different ball game, isn't it? Like you say, it's like worldwide fans, and it's probably a bit more like of an echo chamber playing for a club like us, because it's such a small, well, I'll say a small community. You know what I mean? It's all like it's the one city, everyone's in and on it. Whereas Man United, half the crowd that are there flew in from fucking God knows where. So interesting. I don't know who I'll pick.
I think the one thing is it's got to be done early. If he's definitely going, and they know that as a club, get him out by first week of the transfer window.
Yeah,
that's the thing. You want to give him a chance of the new person that comes in a decent pre-season. Jeff Shee will see it completely opposite by going, actually, if I get rid of him in June, then I don't have to pay his wages till August, and then he goes. Andy says, is there a Neves return? No contract yet in Saudi, and he loves us. I can't believe he's been there that long already. Going into the final year of his contract, Harry, you brought it up. I think Simon posted it. He is, I think, the epitome of how a player should perform on and off the pitch. The way he left, he has left a legend. Doing videos, not trying to force a move, and picking the right one that was the best for you. I think he probably followed the cash at the end of the day, but maybe felt it was a little bit soon to be playing for another Premier League club potentially. Would you welcome him back? I know we've touched on it in previous weeks, but it is seeming that there is a potential with no offers on the table from Saudi.
Imagine the buzz if we re-sign Neves. Oh my God, everyone would go mad. But yeah, I saw the story. Porto, apparently Porto want him because he's got 1 year left on his deal, as you said. So if Porto are able to sign him, why not? But then how much would he have to pay with a year left on his deal? I don't know. But it would be... He could go to I don't even know how he's been playing over in Saudi. I know he had that injury when he come back and watched us that one game earlier on in the season. But yeah, it'd be...
I have no idea.
No, it'd be incredible. I know Andre and Gomez are playing amazing, but come on, Neves coming back would just... He was just like you say. You should show Cunha a tape of how he dealt with going. Like he stayed a bit longer than we thought as well. Didn't need to be fair, Neves. We thought he'd leave sooner than he did, and that video of him crying when he left, and then he stuck to his promise to come back and sat in the stands to watch us against Southampton this season. So I'd love that. That's a bit of a dreamland one though. It's not out the realms of possibility, but it is a little bit of a dreamland one because I think they'd want a bit of money. They'd probably want more money than they paid for him, even though he's only got a year left on his deal. He only had a year left on his deal when they got him from us, though, wasn't it? So we got a lot more than we expected.
And it was still sort of in the buzz and the excitement of Saudi going absolutely mental in the transfer market and paying way, way over the odds. But I think that certainly died down because I think even the Saudis were going, actually, I don't think it's pumping that much money into the Premier League is actually going to help us long term. What's your view, Dan?
I've always been one of those people where I've been like, don't have someone back, don't taint the memories sort of thing.
I agree with that, by the way.
Gone, completely gone. Get him back. Greatest.
long live the memories.
Yeah. Oh, he's so good. Jesus. You can't say no, can you?
The only other thing I saw, just to come to me talking of transfers, did you see that Bournemouth want to take Hugo Bueno off us when he comes back?
Yeah, no, I didn't see
he's done well at Feyenoord, and obviously Aït-Nour is linked away from us. So we don't want to lose both of them, do we? We want one or the other to stay for that left-back role. But Bournemouth, yeah, interested in Hugo Bueno. He's had a great season, and I'd personally start him for us if Aït-Nour goes, but it'd be interesting to see what happens with that one.
I agree. On the Neves thing, I do say just don't go back. It's never the same. I mean, even the top players have done it before. I mean, Ronaldo went back to Manchester United and arguably certainly one of the greatest players ever, and didn't really make much of an impact. I know he got a couple of goals.
I don't know. He was in his mid-30s when
he did that.
Yeah, of course. Whereas Neves is going to be 26, 27 coming back
potentially. But I mean, difference is Ronaldo was playing for Real Madrid for a good number of years, looking at 10 years, going to Juventus and then going to Man United. I think 3 years in Saudi. How much has he really developed? Has he pushed on as a player? I know we're saying that we haven't really seen anything he's doing, but I mean, he's not going to be pushing himself to the limit and developing as a player. Is he, Harry, over in Saudi Arabia? And is he better than Andre? And is he better than João Gomez? Does he get back in the side? Does he get back in the side? Because I don't think he does.
I don't have this conversation.
I don't think he gets in the place of Munetsi.
We not have this conversation.
Munetsi brings...
People love Neves. You can't... Yeah. Do you know what? He won't get in. He won't get in for me. He won't get in for me.
I don't think he would. I think squad balance, and we're looking at Munetsi, we're singing his praises for bringing the best out of Strand Larsen. We're saying that we should be building a team around João Gomez and Andre. You can't do that by then dropping them to bring back a club legend.
No. We're going to get cancelled. Everyone's going to unsubscribe. We can't do this. Just on whenever we have this conversation about never go back, we always disrespect Doherty. He come back and look how good he's been.
That's true.
Put a bit of respect on his name.
All of you used to give him pelters.
Well, he's been amazing. He's been right centre back. He's been incredible.
Player.
No, I've always thought he was a brilliant player.
What would happen was you would slag Semedo off so bad when he first come in, and now you would compare Doherty with the goals, and you would big Doherty up. We never slagged Doherty off. We just said we think Semedo is just as good, but you'd go nuts because you hated Semedo. But yeah, long time ago that was like what fucking hell, 4 or 5 years ago when he first come in.
Was reasoned, level-headed punditry from Dan, obviously. Max says Neves could be an impact sub. There you go.
Oh my god, he ain't gonna come. If he comes, he wants to be a starter, doesn't he?
Well, he'd be captain, wouldn't he? He'd have to be captain.
The big question is, Sam, would Agbadu be able to keep Cody out the team if he come back?
Well, that's a great shout, Harry.
Go to bed, Harry Mansell.
I mean, is Hugo Bueno better than Ryan Giles? They're all
is he £30 million more? Yeah,
certainly the case. Well, perfect. Well, look, if you're heading to Old Trafford at the weekend, have a good time. Hopefully, the 4-0 comes in. We'll see what happens. We might be getting cancelled in the comments section, so we'll quickly say goodbye to the video extraordinaire that is Harry Mansell.
See you in a bit.
And Dan Bayliss.
Goodbye.
And it is a